2 and trying to compensate for that by grabbing the Rift Scuttler.
Oh, Venus might not even let him get away with it here. Level 2 to level 3. Oh, dear.
And he doesn't have his smite, so he can't just turn and burn it. So giving a lot of respect to this Lee Sin pick, which, you know, I like Tierwolf. There's no reason to throw away an early game on, you know, a Rift Scuttler.
Yeah, and they do have very late game, right? This is a Kog'Maw composition. You're going to be building Ardent Sensor on your mid lane. So for the time being, it's okay to see a little bit of early pressure rather than giving up a lot of kills and allowing that snowball to happen.
And Venus understanding that he can do this because he does have the pressure in the top lane, in the mid lane, but maybe his luck runs out.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tierwolf says enough is enough.
Hello.
I'm going to fight you this time. It's a battle of double buffs, but I don't know if Tierwolf wants to keep going. Plugo wasn't quite in range to respond. We'll check back in with the bottom lane. Fix and Slow already stopped up under tower. We saw a little bit of early game harassment on Fix. He's already healed back up to full, but unfortunately Slow can't say the same.
Talon can be pretty frisky though underneath that tower. Does need to be a little bit careful about how that interaction with Alistar is going to work.
Yeah.
You never know if Slow's going to turn on the aggression. He is known as more of a playmaking oriented support.
Yeah. Although Pallet on a playmaker support of his own definitely can make things happen pretty quickly. That's a nice double knock-up. Pallet's already going to be out. Fix can't really do a whole lot of damage early on, just sitting on the door and shield. And Tierwolf is having a hard time, even from Nowell here. Plugo goes in for a little bit of relief effort, but maybe he wishes he didn't.
Yeah, young generation just have Tierwolf's number. They understand where a lot of the pieces of KLG start fitting together, that it starts with that jungler, and they are just throwing everything and the kitchen sink into this guy's jungle. Contesting wolves, contesting raptors, now looking at stealing his Krug camp. The guy has a family.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're going to go hungry right now. Tierwolf does not have much he can do inside this jungle.
It also means that he has a clear gank path down bottom. Now, there's no vision for KLG into that tri-brush, so if Venus retains his health, which he is going to smite, he can feel comfortable looking for a gank behind Ali.
Oh, he might just be able to do it too. They're pushed up.
He's going to walk into Jarvan, though. I think Venus is just going to exit over the wall, use the blast cone to escape.
Yeah, they see him. I was about to say, maybe he'll go for the spicy 1v1, but I feel like that's not going to go well for him with Slow and Fix nearby.
Definitely not with a back on Jarvan.
Yeah, that's fair. He's already got an upgrade. You see the farm differential, of course, because Venus has pretty much been living inside of that jungle for a while, but now his own is going to start setting back up. They see Jarvan hanging around, and of course the ward in the river brush. Back to mid lane. We haven't talked too much about this, but it's already been a decent gold lead built up, or a CS lead built up for Nowell. You see Plugo had already had to spend his flash to just get away from the 2v1 earlier on, trying to save Tierwolf's jungle.
Unfortunately, I feel like it is going to be a bit of a free lane for Corki, unless that happens. Here comes Jarvan.
Okay, Mantra Q, Tierwolf on the way. There's the slow flag drag and flash away. Nowell turns it back with the Gatling gun, and Tierwolf can't get anything else done. He does take another Inner Flame to the face.
But that's now both flashes down for the mid laners, so ripe for the picking for the junglers, and it's going to be the wash and repeat.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's return ganks, but that is a little bit of a quick turnaround time, and Tierwolf can't quite take it, especially not with Nocti hanging around. He even made the trip from top lane.
And that's twice now that Nocti's been able to unlock himself from his lane and add, you know, benefit pressure to whatever his mid laner or his jungler are trying to do, and he's keeping up fairly even in CS.
Yeah, okay. Fix already getting some damage back out onto Big Koro.
Check out the jungle.
Yeah, we're going to get a little bit more action up towards that mid lane, but there's still a lot of auto attacks flying down to the bottom. It looks like Tierwolf and Plugo actually kind of got forced back in. There's a lot of vision placed down, and Venus might have wanted to fight that.
But it did force Galio to also respond, which means that Nocti gets even more time alone. He is pushing in a big creep wave, but is retaining the CS lead. Just a little bit of a smidgen of a CS lead.
Yeah, but this is where it starts to happen. The Galio just hits level 6. Now he's got his ultimate available to try and get into those fights a little faster. And that's not something Nocti can quite match. He's got a teleport, but it's not the same.
But that does mean that he's just going to pressure forward, keep the Galio locked in. He also has, you know, multiple ways to disrupt if it does come to a TP off as opposed to a, hero's entrance off.
Yeah, I guess one is only one way. Yeah, I think
Lift off?
I think you could just say standoff, and most people would understand what you're saying, Frosk.
No, I'm thinking about like his jump up.
Oh, it is a lift off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you meant matching TPs.
Galio never skips leg day.
No,
His legs
he
are huge.
He's definitely squad goals for sure.
Mantaraya, though, is making use of his roam pressure. He knew that Nocti was back into the base, and so he pressured the wave forward, lost vision, although I think he was spotted out by the ward that he's walking over right now. So young generation should have some idea that he's placed deep vision down around that red buff that will be spawning.
Yeah, they have a lot of river vision of their own, but it's going to be difficult for YG kind of push back, especially in this bottom side. Fix is having a field day, in all honesty. They haven't had a whole lot of jungle attention bot, but the Kog'Maw, you know, that is the late game plan, and he's been doing just fine.
Yeah, and Fix is a big name right now. I think that he's kind of a standout AD carry for his region personally in watching him. The thing is he's very young, and he doesn't quite understand when it's safe to do things. And so sometimes he puts himself in a little bit of questionable decisions. But at the same time, you know, you have to congratulate him of having that bloodthirst. It's pretty hard to train that into a player. You would almost rather that they have it instilled into them and then teach them how to rein back the aggression.
That is exactly the recipe for an AD carry, for sure. Now, Pallet, he's stepping a little far forward, not necessarily respecting what Slow could do. Still only on level 5, so no quickness. And Nocti, he's going to steal away. A little bit of a snack attack on the blue buff there.
Yeah, feeling really comfortable because Null had pressure on Karma. Naturally, the second rotation of blue buff is going to be handed over for Karma. So if she's unable to roam over, it means that it's not being prepared for her. Gives him the go-ahead that, hey, no one's probably here. I can probably just snack, walk away.
Yeah. Hate to eat and run, but apparently that's what he does. Now, Noel, back into mid lane, level 8 to level 7 advantage on this Corki. And you mentioned, of course, the free lane. Maybe not necessarily when the junglers are involved, but in the 1v1 situation, it's going to be hard for Plugo to really match, especially when he's going to be building towards that Ardent Sensor.
Hold on.
Tierwolf. Ooh, Sonic Wave. Just a hair's breadth away.
Trying to set up a trap there. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just going to be pushing waves back and forth. The thing, though, is that if Null's feeling confident that he can out-trade or trade around the Karma, that he's going to be pushing forward aggressively and then looking for those avenues when he has package to make roams. And that's when things are going to get explosive for probably this game. I mean, there's so much dive potential. I'm thinking about it. I was like, there's so much dive potential bottom. But like, do you really want to dive in Alistar?
Probably not. I mean, if he gets to the Kog'Maw, I guess it's worth. I guess we'll find out as Venus still hanging around.
Barrier heal.
Yeah, that's true. Tierwolf, okay. Oh, he finds Noel and Venus. Kick back into Pallet. Oh, he thought his own neighborhood was safe, but not anymore.
So the play still stands. They wanted to go bottom. I was questioning if you wanted to dive the Alistar. Doesn't matter if you find the jungler alone on the Krug camp, but the same mentality didn't involve the package, but did get that Corki with the free roam, because again, it's just pushing back and forth in this mid lane, and Corki gets inside track.
Yeah, once again, we get to see it. So Tierwolf, a little bit of a hesitation, and well, as soon as he throws the flag and drag in, kick back into the first blood.
Yeah, and frankly, this is just a great read from Young Generation and understanding what makes KLG strong, which is starting with Tierwolf. If you lock him down, you slow down the communication, you slow down one of the primary shot callers of the team, and suddenly they start to flounder around or fall apart.
And this gold lead, and as well as the Dragon, already a little more significant than what we saw the last time they met. Remember, they did build a modest lead in the opening game of the World's Play-In stage, but, well, Game 3, I mean, but they just didn't really do much after that, and there was a lot of misplays individually.
But a big problem was the misplays that were happening top lane, and that is a completely different story this time around. Nocti is up, what, 20 CS, pretty strong, feeling very confident. He's now at the stage as Shogoth where he's never going to be moved from this top lane. He's going to be feeling very safe, very confident, and all he needs to do is keep tabs on Galio. Have the wave constantly pressured forward, have the vision underneath him so he can do that, and just make sure that Galio's not able to impact the rest of the map.
Yeah, and he's mobile enough to be able to match. Not only does he have the teleport, of course, up and available, neither top laner wanting to pull the trigger on that summoner, but he starts off by finishing out the boots. So he's really able to make a little move faster in the Galio, not quite matching it, of course, and he might not skip leg day, but apparently he forgot to go to the Nike store.
Those are some Pumas. He's an Adidas guy.
Okay, fair enough. But 11 minutes in, we've only got first blood. It's on YG. They've got a lot of tools in their kit, but I feel like the game plan for Chaos Latin Gamers, of course, is always going to be this Kog'Maw, and if he doesn't get shut down, he's happy.
Well, it's also against Azaya, though, especially in tandem with Rakan. This duo will snowball so well into the late game. Yeah, it's hard to match the true range, reach, and damage output of a Kog'Maw, but Zaya gets pretty close.
Not to mention they'll be able to start closing gaps pretty well. And I like what Venus has been able to do, not just in shutting down Tierwolf in this game so far, but in denying him so much farm, getting a whole lot of vision. They can spot out any aggressive attempts from KLG, and they know that there's not going to be a whole lot of aggression coming out of the mid. You got a Karma, the Galio up top is just going to try and push and hold lane, so bottom lane's the only one you really got to worry about.
Yeah, and it's really understanding the fact that there's not a lot of kill pressure there. You know, kind of miss the window to attack the lane, or attack the top side when both those top laners are fragile. You're looking at Rakan or Alistar, so it's not going to feel great to go down there unless you're bringing multiple members, which looks like they're trying to set up right now. So it was just about invading and attacking Tierwolf and trying to isolate that 1v1 jungle matchup.
Yeah, well, they're about to isolate a lot more than that. Corki on the Trinity Force power spike.
Still need to be really respectful and not get overzealous in this. It's still an Alistar. He's got his ultimate, so I think you focus on the tower instead of looking for the dive.
Yep, trying to play the objective focus game. Of course, they're going to bring in some backup as well with Venus still sitting here. He's just going to make the wrap around and trying to get a few more wards in, pinging that they don't see here, Wolf, so they don't feel comfortable going any further.
Exactly that. You can see the Jarvan was actually backing at the inner tower, so everyone knew it was up. Everyone was kind of testing the waters about what might happen bot lane, but in the end, we don't want to gamble or throw away something on just a risky bot lane dive.
Yeah, this is the development we're starting to see out of YG. I mentioned earlier on in the game that the last time they met, it seemed like the team a little fidgety, a little nervous maybe, not making the right plays always at the right time, but this is a lot cleaner League of Legends. It's much more like we saw up against Fnatic, despite them not being able to pick up the win there. We questioned what type of team would show up on this game. So far, it's looking like the better young generation.
Well, it makes sense that they would slow down a little bit just naturally because of their composition. They're still waiting for, bigger power spikes. Yes, Corki has his Trinity Force, but he wasn't able to utilize the package very aggressively. But right now, it's continuing to exploit the jungle. There's not a lot of opportunity and kill pressure in the individual lanes, but like I said, just keep blitzing into Tyrwolf's face.
Yeah, and just keep grabbing that gold lead a little bit slower every time. 2,000 is the lead they have now, and the more you do, the more you starve out the jungler, the better you can actually do once the map starts opening up to try and force those fights, because he's not going to be on the same level.
And the only concern then is that, yes, they didn't give a lot of attention into trying to shut down the Kog'Maw. But if they're confident enough that come the 5v5s or come mid and late game, that, Venus can fly into the back and can find that Kog'Maw. Or, maybe Cho'Gath flashes forward and just noms him. There's zero counterplay to that type of maneuver. So it could just be that it's not a bad read from Young Generation to try to shut down Kog'Maw, but they're just confident enough that if it goes late game, they're better.
Yeah, and when you have a composition that pretty much has one clear win condition, it does paint a giant target on its back as opposed to the multiple tools that Young Generation have. The Corki's still going to do a serious amount of damage. You mentioned the Cho'Gath. I mean, there's not that many champions that you build full tank on and then just, okay, I'm going to blow somebody up.
It's great to play against.
It's super interactive.
I love the counterplay.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Young Generation's other top laner faced that off the last time. Montharayo was the one that had the Cho'Gath, and he started to do that to a Renekton.
That guy should never get Cho'Gath again. It was just disgusting what he was able to output against Ren. Here we go. And no, we don't.
Wash, rinse, repeat. Yeah, I mean, it's what you're talking about, lack of kill pressure, right? Like, you can put the Karma Leash on, but at the end of the day, Noel can just jet off.
Flying out. And slow, he does have Jarvan behind him, so you can already see that he wants to be a bit more aggressive, but trying to pick which target. You want the Xayah, but then Rakan's just going to go in, try to protect her, create space for her.
Yeah. I feel like Fix has got to be a little careful, though. You talked about him being the slightly maybe over-aggressive AD carry, and if he's not behind the Alistar, you might find yourself face first into a Rakan ultimate.
But they need to pull the trigger now, KLG, and make this play happen bottom, because Venus and Null are going to be on the way. They're probably going to shove one more wave and then make the rotation bot. So the window is closing for them to have a numbers advantage here.
Yeah, and the map is opening up right now with that tower knocked down in the mid lane. You can see Null just having a pretty good time, and of course, so far, he's pretty much par for the course in the mid lane. We're starting to see him really step up, especially after their first performance.
I mean, that said, it was, frankly, an easy matchup for him. He just pretty much did his job. It's now how he transfers that into the mid game, because he is the big power spike. In fact, already he's just like, Trinity Force, Infinity Edge. Most expensive build, let's go.
Yeah, and he's even got the boots just to get a little bit extra mobility starting things off. And wouldn't you know, it's 10 seconds and another Infernal Drake. We've really been graced by a whole lot of Dragon RNG this Worlds.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because, it's the Rage Blade rush from Kog'Maw, it feels really uncomfortable at this point in the game. Like, the Infernal is spawning, he needs to make his back, and yeah, you can argue that maybe the backs are mistimed, but they don't want to fight this because it feels really bad to fight when you have your AD item, your AP item, and you're just like in between any of those points.
Bit of an awkward time, right? But for YG, he talked about them kind of building up each other and having one of those compositions that sort of, it supports its own scaling. It's a smooth curve up, and it's working perfectly for them right now, and there's not a whole lot of chance to contest, so that's 2 Infernals, 16% bonus AD and AP for the Young Generation squad.
Yeah, and that's going to be devastating because it is a Corki, it is a Xayah, so that double Infernal will do so much work for them in about, 10 minutes. So any sort of gold lead that KLG might match is just going to be out-ramped by the double Infernal and what that offers in terms of, power advantage. Now, on the other side of that, the next dragon is Mountain, still very valuable. It'll spawn around 22 minutes, and Kog'Maw will actually be in a perfect spot to fight, as well as because the Ardent Censer will be completed by Karma, and he'll also have his second item.
But we will have to see the game state at that point, right? That's still some minutes away, and Young Generation, I mean, if they can keep this ball rolling right now, this has got to be such a good confidence booster for them, because remember, despite the fact that we saw improved performance from this team over their debut, they're still 0-2 down. They have to win out to have any chance of moving on to the next round, and so far so good, but one mistake can start to turn the tide.
but it's about where those mistakes will happen. You can see, again, Tierwolf, he's been repeatedly down into the bottom lane. I feel like they're just waiting for Big Koro and Pallet to make the rotation towards top side. Again, without Infernal, there's not a lot of reason to be bottom. They probably want to move their objective priority towards that Rift Herald, and he's just trying to catch them out of position so they can use the Jarvan to burn down that tower trade. So KLG understand that they don't want to fight right now, that it's not in their advantage. They just want to try to trade objectives.
Yeah, Mantaraya knows that better than a lot, so ceding off the tower pressure in the top because he knows that the rest of his team, they're in the bottom side. However, there's a teleport coming in. Young Generation, they do want to fight, pulling the trigger, getting the root off on two, and in comes a Corki. It's a special delivery, and I don't think Fix wanted to ring that bell. It's going to be one tower taken down by Venus. Meanwhile, the fight is on 5v4 in the bottom, but YG, they look like they're getting the better of it. One more knock-up, and Nocti is not perturbed by that. See, going back in, Inspire, and there's a root on Mantaraya.
Yeah, but they retain their health bars. You know, Kog'Maw wasn't killed, and Galio threatening the dive.
Oh dear, Nocti, he's gonna give it, or is he still staying alive through the root? Gets the eat on Mantaraya, flashes away to the safety of behind the rest of his team, and now KLG in trouble.
And again, I'm not gonna blame KLG. I agreed with what they were trying to do, but Young Generation, they understood we are stronger now, we wanna fight, and it doesn't matter if we fight 5v5 or 4v5. Corki flew in, they forced KLG off the tower, and meanwhile, Lee Sin was able to pick up top tower and Rift Herald.
Yeah, that's got to be a great thing for the jungler. Oh, I'm Lee Sin. I'm supposed to do things early game. I guess I'll just go and play PvE while my team hard carries.
And that's just so unfortunate. Like, if you're a KLG fan, that feels bad because you're like, yes, I completely agree with the team. You know, they're not strong enough to look for the 5v5, so they're going to abuse the numbers advantage and just try to trade tower for tower. But Young Generation are like, nah, man, you are going to fight us and we are going to win. And unfortunately, KLG, you know, it looks good initially. Fix is able to disengage. He's saved. The Kog'Maw didn't initially die. You're like, perfect. KLG are going to get the trade back. But then, unfortunately, Galio just overreaches slightly, and the tower does so much work for Young Generation.
Yeah, I cannot believe Nocti didn't die. Turns around, gets a nom off. I guess at the end of the day, the Cho'Gath just a little bit bigger than the Galio.
Catching, what, 3 members there with his Rupture?
Oh, yeah, that too. And at this point, he's not getting any smaller. He's got the Warmogs completed, steals away Raptors. Tierwolf still doesn't own his own jungle. This guy's having a bad time.
He's, what, 68 to 109? It's not fun.
Yeah.
And now the teleport being forced out.
Oh, boy, Fix. Yeah, can't really spot him back. Nocti just hanging on and pushing them continually.
But this is multiple members for KLG just trying to pressure Young Generation on the bottom side of the map. Meanwhile, the Rift Herald is still in possession of Venus. If he gets this wave prepped, and if Xayah and Rakan actually rotated down, you know, they could just exploit other areas on the map while KLG are busy down here.
Yeah, but YG, they find themselves a little bit outgunned. Fix gets 1 kill on the board. That's the first for Chaos Latin Gamers. Nocti, let's see how tough he can hang under this tower. This time, no help is coming, so get in the pit. And looks like Nocti's going to try to buy a little bit of time with his health bar. Fix gets 2, but look what's happening up top.
Exactly, and this is the play that KLG were trying to get. They will get the tower, but like I said, while all of the attention is being pulled bottom, it's just an easy Rift Herald into an inner tower, and they're now sieging into the inhib.
Yeah, much needed gold on the side of Fix. However, they're going to pay dearly for it because Mantaraya, trying to hold on here, finds another Rift Herald headbutting into that tower, and they'll be able to clear it away, but still, that's some serious chip damage that Young Generation have managed to bring.
And still a massive trade-up for Young Generation, particularly around the Baron control. You know, the creeps are going to get that far forward, or that much farther forward down the top side of the map, and now they just need to start moving and creeping in their vision after they take down Mountain.
Yep, grabbing as much jungle as they can on the way out. Making out like bandits. Tierwolf is just finding himself completely starved out this game. Just taking a look at the gold that he's got for himself compared to Venus. I mean, he's down almost 2,000. The man just can't catch a break.
Now, the green light for KLG is the fact that, like I said, the 22-minute Dragon is going to spawn. They are in a much more comfortable position to fight. They've got the 2 items completed on Kog'Maw, the Hurricane as well as the Rage Blade. The Ardent Censer and the Athenes are available for Karma. So before, when they stepped off of the Infernal Dragon, they understood we're not strong enough to fight. Now, this time around, they can feel confident stepping to if they get their vision in place.
It's still not going to be easy, though, because at this point, Nocti is nearly at raid boss status, so I feel like you're going to need more than 1 DPS to take him down, although doing a little damage there. Venus still in for the relief effort, and Slow and Plugo were waiting out in the brush, so a lot of investment from Chaos Latin Gamers up towards the top side. That means no one's there to defend now on the bottom.
And it also means that no one's able to defend this Mountain Dragon. Mountain Dragon, yes, it takes a long time to go down, but he's one of the gentle giants of the Rift, so if Nao wants to take this tower, he can just solo Mountain afterwards.
Yeah, pretty easily, and Mantaraya knows he can't really defend against the Corkster. That's going to be 1 shot taking it out, and he just keeps on pushing, actually. Gaslight and Gamers really giving ground over to Young Generation.
Yeah, might as well. He knows that no one's going to come to stop him. Feels confident because he's got the ward on the Raptor camp, so he can see exactly where Tierwolf is on that Jarvan. And he's just going to continue to be a nuisance.
Speaking of nuisances, every time I think Tierwolf has free jungle, someone steals something from him. This time it's Pallet. Oh, I feel bad for that guy.
He's not getting a lot of gold.
No, definitely
He's fallen on hard times.
Well, there's always next game, I suppose, but for the time being, there's still a lot of chances for KLG to come back into this.
Gold down, Venus.
Yeah, he's clearly still going to be able to help them as far as utility goes and cataclysms and things like that, but for Young Generation, this is the time that they feel pretty confident, even though the Kog'Maw has some kills, has some gold. KLG, they might get collapsed on here, or will it be Young Generation that step too far forward? Pallet, he has to go quick. And it looks like Tierwolf gets the pit on, but it doesn't matter. He's going to be jumping right back. Fix gets one kill to start things off. Now just trying to look tasty as KLG on the chase. Living Artillery, one shot, two shot. Young Generation, there's Big Cora right in the back. Nocti takes down Tierwolf right off the end of it. Looks like two roots down. Slow's gonna have to flash away. Pluto and Fix turn things out. Can they get the damage on Mantaraya? Trying to go for the dive under tower, but it's a shutdown as Big Coro does go big. And as the dust settles right now, it looks like Young Generation get the better of it. But it looks real tense for a moment.
Yeah, Fix tried to go Super Saiyan, tried to carry his team, but it was really Nocti, and now with that Warmox kicking in, are they moving over to Baron?
Well, they might just do. That's some serious death timers still, even though it's only 24 minutes in. Young Generation, they know they've got the firepower to burn this one down. Tierwolf still 5 seconds from respawn. Mantaraya trying to disrupt, but I don't think it's going to happen. Couple more auto attacks, gets the root. Taunt doesn't really matter. No, even finds the APM to spam his buttons and get himself some swag at the end of that one. So smited down Baron at 24.5 minutes for Young Generation.
Exactly. Successful team fight into the Baron, and this is a huge swing of power for Young Generation. If we take a look back at the fight, again, I understand what KLG are trying to go for. They feel strong. They have the Ardent Sensor. They have the 2-item power spike. I understand exactly why they set up for this. It's unfortunate that Fix just can't go the distance, and a lot of that is on Nocti. He arrives later to the fight, but it's the fact of how he uses ultimate. He immediately kills Karma with the silence, then grabs Fix, does huge amounts of damage to him by just chomping on his face, and then zones Plugo and Fix away until the rest of his team is able to show up and clean up the back half.
Yep. Very hectic fight inside of that jungle, but you can see a lot of the difference in itemization really helping YG put things away. Not to mention the couple of dragons. That Jarvan pretty much died at the very end of it from the package Valk wake.
I mean, he's pretty much got cardboard armor, just like duct taped to him.
Yeah. Fortunately, the Demacian coffers are a little empty these days. 25 minutes in, Young Generation rocking a pretty significant gold lead, as well as the Mountain Dragon. Now it's finished up, and it looks like the next lane to push is going to be all of them.
The easiest tower to secure is going to be that last standing inner tower in the bottom lane, which is what Null is setting up right now. I expect that the mid lane will be shoved one more wave, and then the rest of his team will rotate down and join him. And it's simply because it's that much easier to threaten a dive.
Yep. Despite the fact that Fix is definitely starting to ramp up on this Kog'Maw, he just can't do enough to try and push back Young Generation. Firing now with 3 members and the Baron-empowered minions on the inner in the mid. Down it'll go, 26 minutes on the clock. It looks like YG looking to close this one out soon, and such relief for this team that started out their Worlds Experience 0 and 2. If they can put this one away with a W in the books, they'll be pretty happy that they still have a chance. Now, Nocti taking up 3. Tierwolf jumps the pit, but I don't know if he wants this Thunderdome to go on. Nocti just gets a numb on, and Tierwolf having to back away. Rupture, flag, drag. They will be able to shut him down. Fix has got a 4th kill of his own.
But what did they lose in return? It's the bot inhib tower. It's massive damage on the mid tower, and Venus is like, get out of here.
Yeah. Young Generation not even bothering to fight his fight because they realize that KLG just can't push them back time and again, so base broken open on the bottom as well.
But not breaking one of the inhibs is a pretty big deal for Young Generation. You know, if they had grouped up with Nocti, they decided that they wanted to apply the Baron in every single lane, try to apply so much pressure across map and split up KLG. Makes sense. They are a composition about the Kog'Maw, so they want to be grouped up, but it leads to situations like this.
Yeah, now unfortunately finding himself without a whole lot of allies, trusted that he'd be able to get out of harm's way, and not the case this time around.
Quick, they've killed the Corki, get to the base!
Yeah, tag time. All right, Big Coro and Pallet on the inhib, teleport coming in, and the rest of KLG coming, and I don't know if Young Generation's bottom lane will be able to get out of this one nice and safe, but they realize they might just be able to kill Fix before it happens. That is a lot of shields right there, and I don't know if YG can take this fight as the teleport's about to finish. Nocti comes in, it's a shutdown for Fix onto Big Coro, but it's still a melee in the mid. And now Venus working his way through the last few hits of that tower as they decide to turn back in on the fight. Monterrey gets the charm, stun up onto 2, looking for Nocti, and he just keeps tanking everything. Pallet, he's gonna have to swap his way out as he's a little low on the health bar, but there's a front line right there to clear away the rest of this inhib.
With Kog'Maw dead, there is no one to stop Nocti. He can sit there for as long as he wants. I mean, that was just the Lee Sin in the Rakan. He's like, nah, guys, we got this. Just keep hitting the inhib.
Big old Shogath, adaptive helm, Warmog's armor, everything. He is very, very difficult for them to kill.
I just love the fact that young generation just like double down. They're like, you know, we could fight as 5, or we could just continue to throw our bodies at these inhibs.
They do like to skirmish. One thing watching this team as they qualified for Worlds, they kind of thrive off maybe pre-planned, but nonetheless very hectic fights that don't always have all 10 members of each team involved.
And again, that makes sense when you look at KLG's composition. You don't want that comp to stand together as 5 and allow them to just, you know, buff up the Kog'Maw with everything.
Well, you saw those shields though, right?
Exactly. If you split them up, then the Kog'Maw becomes that much more fragile, or he's not in position, they don't have the appropriate wave clear, and you can start to pick things off or chip away at face.
All right, well, they might be able to chip away at a little bit more than Pallet's health bar. Still mobile enough on the Rakan, so the Death Brush not entirely effective, but it does result in burning the quickness. Still, without 2 inhibitors in the top and mid, the third's looking mighty tasty for Young Generation to try and push their way in, and Nowell's got another package to deliver.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of the ping, so they're just trying to flood or smother KLG's base, getting all of these super creeps waves coming in at the same time that they're contesting this bot inhib.
Yeah, playing it out nice and easy. Close things out. This would be great for Young Generation to try and get a W on the board, give them a chance to still qualify for the elimination stage. It's not but Nexus Towers left for Chaos Latin Gamers. Can they hold together?
This is where we hold them.
All right. I don't see no Pantheon, though, unfortunately. Chaos Latin Gamers are going to have to find something out of nowhere. 300 Spartans might be hiding behind that fountain. We'll see. Nocti getting the knock up. There's the Featherstorm coming out. Few speed ups, but there's no damage. They've already lost 1 Nexus turret. Tierwolf looking for Nowell, but the rest of Young Generation turn forward. Venus gonna get a kick off. Tierwolf gets the Thunderdome on, but it doesn't matter. Nowell is still able to fire over the edge of the pit. Slow going in, gets a knockback, finding Pallet. Monterrey makes a hero's entrance, and that's 1 kill to start off this fight.
Fix
but Chaos Latin Gamers, they've already found 2. Fix is still looking massive right now, but is it going to be enough? Nowell gets Monterrey, and 1 by 1 the protectors fall, and so does the Kog'Maw. A double kill for Nowell, and there's nothing but the base. 30 minutes exact on the clock. Young Generation staying alive and take the win over KLG.
I mean, it was a 20K gold difference in the end, so Fix tried to do what he could, but he just couldn't go Super Saiyan enough as Young Generation just mow over Chaos Latin Gamers.
Yeah, we're going to need a couple more episodes of training montage before that Kog'Maw was going to be able to outscale. What a massive victory for Young Generation. And we've seen this team look a little bit better every single game they've played so far at Worlds. It's a long climb to try and make it to the elimination round, but they might just be able to do it.
And Nocti is a huge upgrade, I feel. Rin really struggled against Monterrey up into that top lane. Nocti had no problems there, built up a CS lead, was able to constantly be applying pressure, diving into the jungle, stealing away the blue buff, executing perfectly in team fights, you know, getting into that backline, denying Fix the big dragon fight that they really needed to turn that game around.
Yep. And it's a little bit of a heartbreaker for Chaos Latin Gamers, and they were looking pretty solid on their first day of play. But it just wasn't quite enough, and now they find themselves in a 1-2 situation.
Yeah, but I feel like that was more of like a draft thing. It's so hard. Chaos Latin Gamers, they don't like best of 5, or they don't like best of 1. They prefer to be in a best of 3 or a best of 5 format. Again, the strength of that team is their conflict resolution, their ability